In a world that constantly demands your reaction, staying calm has become a rare form of strength. Every day, people, problems, and pressure test your patience, your emotions, and your peace. Most lose control without realizing that the real battle is not outside, it is within the mind. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman Emperor and Stoic philosopher, ruled an empire under endless stress, betrayal, war, and uncertainty, yet he remained composed, disciplined, and inwardly free. His secret was not escaping chaos, but mastering his response to it. Stoicism does not teach you to suppress emotions. It teaches you to understand them, discipline them, and rise above them. Calm, in Stoic philosophy, is not weakness, it is power under control. In this video, you will learn 10 profound lessons from Marcus Aurelius that will help you stay calm no matter what life throws at you. These are not motivational quotes. These are mental principles tested in the hardest conditions imaginable. If you master these lessons, your mind will become steady, your reactions controlled, and your peace unshakable. Marcus Aurelius believed that inner peace begins the moment you clearly understand what is within your control and what is not. Most human suffering comes from wasting energy on things we were never meant to command other people's opinions, their actions, the past, or the unpredictable flow of life. You can argue with reality endlessly, but reality will never bend for you. Stoicism teaches that you truly control only 3 things: your thoughts, your intentions, and your actions. Everything else exists outside your authority. When someone disrespects you, the insult itself is external. The pain begins only when you decide that the insult has power over you. Marcus wrote that if you remove your judgment, the harm disappears. This lesson demands discipline. It asks you to stop blaming circumstances and instead take responsibility for your inner state. When outcomes no longer define your peace, anxiety loosens its grip. You still worked hard, but without desperation. You still care, but without attachment. By focusing only on what you control, you become emotionally independent. Your calm no longer rises and falls with people's behavior. You stop reacting and start responding. This is not indifference, it is clarity. When you master this principle, chaos loses its authority over your mind. Marcus Aurelius described the mind as a fortress, one that cannot be breached unless you leave the gates open. External events have no power by themselves. They become disturbances only when your mind interprets them as threats. This understanding is deeply freeing because it returns control to where it belongs. Thoughts appear automatically, but obedience is optional. Fear, anger, and anxiety are impressions, not commands. A Stoic observes thoughts instead of surrendering to them. Marcus warned that the soul becomes shaped by the thoughts it entertains. If you constantly allow negative, resentful thinking, peace cannot survive. Mental discipline is therefore essential. You must question your thoughts. Is this true? Is this useful? Is this necessary? If not, let it go. Calmness is not achieved by controlling the world, but by training perception. Protecting your mind also means limiting unnecessary negativity, gossip, outrage, comparison, and emotional noise. The calm person chooses what enters their mental space. Over time, this discipline creates emotional immunity. True strength lies not in force, but in inner stability. When your mind is governed by reason, external chaos becomes irrelevant. 4. Accept life as it is. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that people act according to their understanding, conditioning, and limitations. When someone behaves poorly, it is rarely about you, it is about them. Taking things personally is a misunderstanding of human nature. People speak from wounds, fear, ignorance, and habit. Expecting wisdom from the unwise is a guaranteed path to frustration. Marcus argued that being offended is a choice, not a necessity. When you stop personalizing behavior, anger dissolves. You begin to observe rather than react. This emotional distance does not make you cold, it makes you free. You stop handing your peace to people who cannot handle their own emotions. Resentment, according to Stoicism, is self-inflicted punishment. Forgiveness is not for others, it is for your peace. When you understand that others are acting from their own inner world, you no longer need to defend your worth. Calmness arrives when your self-respect is internal, not dependent on approval or validation. Nothing liberates the mind more than realizing that most things are not about you. Resistance to reality creates suffering. Marcus Aurelius emphasized that life unfolds according to nature. not personal preference. Fighting what has already happened drains energy and clouds judgment. Acceptance is not weakness, it is intelligence. To accept reality is to see clearly. Only then can you act wisely. Denial delays healing. Acceptance accelerates growth. When something goes wrong, the Stoic asks, "What is required of me now?" rather than "Why did this happen to me?" Acceptance does not mean passivity. It means cooperation with reality. Marcus believed that whatever happens is material for virtue. Every challenge is an opportunity to practice patience, courage, or discipline. When you stop arguing with life, emotional tension fades. You conserve strength for meaningful action instead of emotional resistance. Calm emerges naturally from alignment with what is. Peace is not found in controlling life, but in flowing with it intelligently. *5. Pause before you react. Marcus Aurelius believed that the greatest proof of inner strength is the ability to pause before reacting. Most people think power means immediate response, quick words, sharp reactions, emotional outbursts. Stoicism teaches the opposite. True power is restraint. It is the discipline to stop, breathe, and choose your response consciously. Every situation presents two moments: the moment something happens, and the moment you respond. Between these two moments lies your freedom. When you react instantly, you surrender that freedom to impulse. Anger, fear, or ego takes control, and reason is pushed aside. Marcus warned that nothing ruins peace faster than uncontrolled emotion. A pause creates distance between the event and your judgment of it. In that brief space, you regain authority over yourself. You ask, "Is this worth my energy? Is reacting improving the situation or only feeding my ego?" Often, silence is the wisest answer. Not every comment requires a reply. Not every insult deserves acknowledgement. Marcus Aurelius practiced this discipline daily. As an emperor, he faced disrespect, betrayal, and constant pressure. Reacting emotionally would have weakened his leadership. Instead, he chose measured responses, understanding that calm decisions shape long-term outcomes. Pausing before you react also protects your dignity. Words spoken in anger cannot be taken back. Actions taken impulsively often create regret. The Stoic chooses patience because he values peace more than momentary release. This restraint does not mean suppressing emotion. It means directing it wisely. Over time, this habit transforms your character. You become steady, composed, and difficult to provoke. Others may try to pull you into chaos, but your silence disarms them. Calm becomes your default state. In Stoic philosophy, the person who controls their reactions controls their life. The pause is small, but its power is immense. It is the difference between slavery to emotion and mastery of the self. In a world that constantly demands your reaction, staying calm has become a rare form of strength. Every day, people, problems, and pressure test your patience, your emotions, and your peace. Most lose control without realizing that the real battle is not outside, is within the mind. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman Emperor and Stoic philosopher, ruled an empire under endless stress, betrayal, war, and uncertainty. Yet he remained composed, disciplined, and inwardly free. His secret was not escaping chaos, but mastering his response to it. Stoicism does not teach you to suppress emotions. It teaches you to understand them, discipline them, and rise above them. Calm, in Stoic philosophy, is not weakness, it is power under control. In this video, you will learn 10 profound lessons from Marcus Aurelius that will help you stay calm no matter what life throws at you. These are not motivational quotes. These are mental principles tested in the hardest conditions imaginable. If you master these lessons, your mind will become steady, your reactions controlled, and your peace unshakable. *1. Focus only on what you control. Marcus Aurelius taught that inner calm begins with a simple but difficult distinction: knowing what is within your control and what is not. Most people live in constant tension because they try to manage outcomes, opinions, and events that were never theirs to command. You cannot control how others think, what they say, how they behave, or how life unfolds. Fighting these realities creates frustration and anxiety. Stoicism teaches that you control only 3 things: your thoughts, your intentions, and your actions. Everything else exists outside your authority. When you fully accept this, emotional freedom begins. An insult cannot harm you unless you decide it has meaning. A failure cannot break you unless you define yourself by it. Marcus wrote that if you remove your judgment about an event, the suffering disappears with it. This mindset does not make you passive. You still work, plan, and act with discipline. The difference is that you stop attaching your peace to results. You do your part and release the rest. This detachment removes desperation and fear. When you focus only on what you can control, your energy becomes efficient. You stop replaying the past and worrying about the future. Calm grows because your mind is no longer scattered across uncontrollable possibilities. You become grounded in the present moment. True strength, according to Marcus Aurelius, is self-governance. When you master your inner world, the outer world loses its power over you. This is the foundation of lasting calm. 2. Your mind is your stronghold. Marcus Aurelius believed that the mind is the last and greatest stronghold a person possesses. No matter how chaotic the outside world becomes, your inner world remains under your authority, lest you surrender it. According to Stoic philosophy, external events do not disturb us by themselves. It is our judgment of those events that creates distress. This idea is the foundation of inner calm. Every day, thoughts enter the mind automatically. Fear appears, anger rises, anxiety whispers, but Marcus reminded himself that these thoughts are not commands. They are impressions. You always have the power to examine them before accepting them as truth. When you believe every negative thought without question, you give away control of your peace. The Stoic practice is to pause and observe the mind. Ask yourself, is this thought accurate? Is it useful? Is it helping me act with virtue? If the answer is no, the thought has no authority over you. Calmness is not achieved by eliminating thoughts, but by choosing which ones deserve attention. Marcus also warned that the soul becomes shaped by the thoughts it repeatedly entertains. A mind filled with resentment, complaint, and comparison will never be at peace. This is why protecting your mental space is essential. Limiting unnecessary negativity, gossip, outrage, and constant stimulation strengthens the mind over time. When the mind is trained, external chaos loses its power. Insults no longer penetrate. Pressure no longer overwhelms. You respond instead of reacting. This does not mean you become emotionless. It means emotions no longer rule you. True strength, according to Marcus Aurelius, is not physical dominance or loud confidence. It is inner stability. When your mind is governed by reason and discipline, it becomes an unbreakable fortress. In that state, calm is not something you seek, it is something you naturally embody. * 3. Don't take things personally. Marcus Aurelius taught that one of the greatest sources of inner disturbance is taking other people's actions and words personally. According to Stoic philosophy, most human behavior has very little to do with us, and everything to do with the inner state of the person acting. People speak and behave based on their fears, habits, wounds, ignorance, and level of understanding. When you forget this, you begin to carry emotional weight that was never meant to be yours. When someone insults you, ignores you, or treats you unfairly, the natural impulse is to feel attacked. But Marcus reminded himself that offense is not automatic, it is a judgment. Words only become harmful when you decide they define you. If someone speaks from anger or ignorance, their behavior reveals their condition, not your worth. Taking things personally gives others control over your emotions. A careless comment can ruin your mood. A stranger's opinion can disturb your peace. Stoicism teaches that this is unnecessary suffering. You do not need to absorb every emotional projection that comes your way. Marcus also believed it was unreasonable to expect wisdom from people who have not cultivated it. Just as you do not blame a sick person for coughing, you should not be shocked when an untrained mind behaves poorly. Understanding this replaces anger with clarity. This mindset does not mean tolerating disrespect or abandoning boundaries. It means responding without emotional chaos. You can address issues calmly or walk away without resentment. Calmness grows when your self-respect is internal, not dependent on validation or approval. Resentment, in Stoic thought, is self-inflicted harm. Holding on to it poisons your own mind while changing nothing about the other person. Letting go is not weakness, it is intelligence. When you stop taking things personally, your emotional world becomes lighter. You move through life unburdened by unnecessary offense. You observe more, react less, and remain grounded. In that state, calm becomes natural, because your peace no longer depends on other people's behavior. 4. Accept life as it is. Marcus Aurelius believed that much of human suffering comes not from events themselves, but from our refusal to accept reality as it is. We argue with life, internally wishing things were different, replaying the past, resisting what has already happened. This resistance creates tension, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. Stoicism teaches that calm begins with acceptance. Acceptance does not mean weakness, surrender, or passivity. It means clarity. When you accept reality, you stop wasting energy on denial and emotional protest. Only then can you act wisely. Marcus reminded himself that everything that happens follows the laws of nature. Fighting those laws does not change them, it only disturbs the mind. When something goes wrong, the untrained mind asks, "Why is this happening to me?" The Stoic mind asks, "What is required of me now?" This shift in perspective restores control. You cannot undo the past, but you can choose how you meet the present. Acceptance turns obstacles into material for growth. But Marcus also believed that every situation contains an opportunity to practice virtue, patience in difficulty, courage in fear, discipline under pressure, and wisdom in uncertainty. When you view challenges this way, they lose their emotional threat. They become training, not punishment. Refusing to accept reality traps you in constant inner conflict. Accepting it frees mental space. Calm emerges when you stop demanding that life conform to your expectations. Life was never meant to be easy, fair, or predictable. It was meant to be lived with reason and character. This mindset does not make you indifferent. It makes you effective. You still take action, but without anger, bitterness, or desperation. You move forward grounded, not reactive. Marcus Aurelius understood that peace is not found in controlling life, but in cooperating with it intelligently. When you accept life as it is, you stop fighting shadows and your mind finally rests. *5. Pause before you react. Marcus Aurelius believed that the ability to pause before reacting is one of the clearest signs of inner strength. Most people confuse speed with power. They respond instantly, speak emotionally, and act impulsively, believing this shows confidence. Stoicism teaches the opposite. True power is restraint. True calm is choosing not to react blindly. Every situation gives you two moments: the moment something happens, and the moment you respond. Between these moments exists a small space. That space is where freedom lives. When you react immediately, you surrender control to emotion, anger, ego, fear, or pride. When you pause, reason returns to the mind. Marcus warned that most regrets are born from unexamined reactions. Words spoken in anger cannot be taken back. Actions taken impulsively often create long-term consequences. A pause, even for a few seconds, protects dignity and preserves peace. Silence, when chosen deliberately, is not weakness, it's authority over oneself. Pausing allows you to ask important questions. Is this worth my energy? Will reacting improve the situation? Am I responding from reason or emotion? Often, the honest answer is that reacting will only satisfy the ego, not serve wisdom. In those moments, calm silence becomes the strongest response. As an emperor, Marcus Aurelius was constantly tested by disrespect, criticism, and pressure. Emotional reactions would have weakened his leadership. Instead, he practiced measured responses, understanding that calm decisions shape lasting outcomes. This discipline changes your character over time. You become steady, composed, and difficult to provoke. People lose the power to manipulate your emotions because you no longer react on impulse. Your presence becomes calm and controlled. Stoicism does not teach emotional suppression. It teaches emotional mastery. You still feel anger or frustration, but you choose not to let them rule your actions. In Stoic philosophy, the person who controls their reactions controls their life. The pause is small, but its impact is immense. It is the difference between being ruled by emotion and living by reason, and that difference is the foundation of true inner calm. 6. Remember that everything is temporary. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of a simple but powerful truth: everything passes. Pain fades, pleasure fades, praise disappears, criticism is forgotten. Remembering this impermanence was one of his most effective tools for staying calm. When you truly understand that nothing lasts forever, emotions lose their intensity. Most suffering comes from treating temporary situations as permanent. A difficult moment feels endless when you forget that time moves forward. Marcus wrote that all things are swept away by the flow of time, including the people who praise us and those who criticize us. This perspective shrinks problems to their true size. Impermanence teaches emotional balance. When you remember that joy is temporary, you stop clinging to it in fear of loss. When you remember that pain is temporary, you stop collapsing under its weight. The Stoic does not suppress emotion, but he does not exaggerate it either. This awareness also reduces ego. Fame, success, and recognition fade quickly. Knowing this keeps you humble and grounded. You stop chasing approval when you realize how fleeting it is. Calm replaces ambition driven by insecurity. Marcus used impermanence to dissolve fear. Even the worst events, he reminded himself, will one day be nothing more than a memory. This does not make life meaningless. It makes each moment lighter. You stop panicking over what will soon pass. By remembering impermanence, you remain centered. You experience life fully without being consumed by it. You learn to appreciate without attachment and endure without despair. True calm comes from perspective. When you understand the temporary nature of all things, you stop giving permanent importance to temporary disturbances. Nothing lasts long enough to justify losing your peace. 7. Do your duty quietly. Marcus Aurelius believed that one of the greatest threats to inner calm is the desire for recognition. When your peace depends on praise, approval, or attention, it becomes fragile. The moment appreciation disappears, or criticism appears, or emotional stability collapses. Stoicism teaches a different path. Do your duty quietly, without demanding applause. For Marcus, duty meant acting in accordance with reason, virtue, and responsibility. You do what is right because it is right, not because it will be noticed. When action is guided by conscience rather than validation, the mind remains steady. Calm comes from integrity, not from external approval. Seeking recognition creates dependency. You begin to measure your worth through others' reactions. This hands control of your emotions to people who may not understand your intentions or values. Marcus warned that attaching your happiness to public opinion is a dangerous mistake, because public opinion is unstable and often irrational. Quiet duty builds inner strength. When you know you acted with honesty, fairness, and discipline, you do not need confirmation. Your reward is internal. This creates a deep sense of self-respect, which is the foundation of lasting calm. Marcus also understood that true virtue does not announce itself. Just as nature works silently, trees grow, rivers flow, seasons change, your actions do not need noise to be meaningful. Loud self-praise weakens character. Quiet consistency strengthens it. This principle does not mean hiding your abilities or avoiding responsibility. It means releasing the need to be seen. You still show up fully. You still do your work with care. You simply do not tie your peace to how it is received. When you live this way, criticism loses its sting and praise loses its power. You remain balanced either way. Your calm becomes self-sustaining. In Stoic philosophy, the person who can act rightly without recognition is truly free. By doing your duty quietly, you protect your peace and strengthen your character at the same time. 8. Let go of the need to win. Marcus Aurelius taught that one of the heaviest burdens on the mind is the desire to win every argument, prove every point, or always be right. Most people mistake victory for strength, believing that dominating others protects their ego. Stoicism reveals a different path. True calm and power come not from winning, but from maintaining inner peace. When you insist on winning, you give the situation authority over your emotions. A debate, a conflict, or an insult becomes a battlefield in your mind. You react, argue, and defend, feeding your ego and sacrificing tranquility. Marcus understood that most disputes are trivial, and engaging in them emotionally is an unnecessary drain. Letting go of the need to win does not mean becoming passive or weak. It means choosing which battles truly matter. Some conflicts are not worth your energy, because they neither improve your character nor serve a greater purpose. Stoics prioritize virtue over validation, peace over pride, self-mastery over recognition. Silence is often the most powerful response. Walking away, not replying, or simply observing without reacting shows far greater strength than verbal domination. The world is full of people who try to provoke. By refusing to fight every battle, you disarm them while protecting your calm. Marcus also knew that life itself is full of outcomes beyond our control. Expecting to win every encounter is unrealistic and leads to constant frustration. By letting go of this need, you align yourself with reality and stop being enslaved by desire for approval or superiority. When you adopt this mindset, conflicts lose their power. Your mind remains steady, regardless of others' behavior. You become emotionally independent, less reactive, and more focused on what truly matters. living virtuously, acting wisely, and preserving inner calm. In the Stoic view, the person who lets go of the need to win is already victorious. By placing peace above pride, they protect their mind and cultivate strength that is silent, unwavering, and enduring. Marcus Aurelius began each day by reminding himself that challenges were inevitable. People would act selfishly or foolishly, circumstances would change, and hardships would arise. By mentally preparing for difficulty in advance, he removed the shock, frustration, and emotional turbulence that often accompany unexpected events. Stoicism teaches that calm begins with expectation. Life, by its very nature, is unpredictable and often unfair. Those who live, assuming it will always be smooth, are constantly disappointed. Marcus observed that hardship is not an anomaly, it is normal. When you expect obstacles, they no longer catch you off guard. Calm becomes a natural response rather than a forced effort. Expectation does not mean pessimism or negativity. It is clarity and preparation. When you know difficulty is coming, you approach it with reason instead of panic. You preserve energy for thoughtful action rather than wasting it on fear or complaint. Marcus understood that the mind's readiness is the best defense against emotional turbulence. Stoics also recognize that difficulty is an opportunity for growth. Every obstacle is a chance to practice patience, discipline, courage, and wisdom. When challenges arise, they are not punishments but tools to strengthen character. By expecting hardship, you welcome it as part of life's natural rhythm, and your calm remains intact. This mindset changes your perception of adversity. Minor setbacks no longer dominate your emotions. Criticism, loss, or betrayal are seen as tests of virtue, not attacks on your peace. You respond with deliberate thought rather than reactive emotion, preserving both integrity and tranquility. By expecting difficulty, you remove surprise, the primary trigger of stress. You prepare your mind for resistance, disappointment, and challenge, making each encounter less disruptive. Calm is no longer dependent on circumstances. It becomes internal, deliberate, and reliable. In the Stoic view, those who anticipate hardship are never truly shaken. They move through life with a quiet strength, grounded in reason and readiness. Marcus Aurelius taught that expectation of difficulty is not fatalism, is the foundation of resilience and enduring inner calm. 10. Live by reason, not emotion. Marcus Aurelius taught that the foundation of calm and inner strength lies in living guided by reason rather than being ruled by emotion. Emotions are natural, they arise automatically, but they are signals, not commands. Stoicism emphasizes that how we respond to emotions defines the quality of our life. When reason leads, life becomes steady. When emotion leads, chaos follows. Human beings are often controlled by transient feelings, anger at insult, fear of loss, envy of others, or excessive attachment to pleasure. These emotions, if unchecked, cloud judgment and disrupt peace. Marcus constantly reminded himself that emotions do not have inherent authority. They are impressions, fleeting and often distorted. The Stoic's task is to observe them, understand them, and choose how to act wisely. Living by reason means examining each situation clearly. Ask, what is within my control? What is virtuous? What is the right action? This approach ensures that decisions are guided by clarity, integrity, and long-term outcomes, rather than momentary impulses. Reason allows you to respond calmly to provocation, adversity, or uncertainty. Marcus also understood that emotion-driven life leads to suffering, because it makes happiness dependent on external events. A Stoic detaches from outcomes and external validation, focusing instead on internal virtue. Calm emerges naturally when actions are aligned with wisdom, not with desire or fear. This does not mean ignoring emotions or suppressing them. Emotions are acknowledged but not allowed to dominate. Anger is observed, but reason decides the response. Fear is recognized, but courage guides the action. Pleasure is enjoyed without attachment, and pain is endured with dignity. The mind becomes like a calm lake. Ripples appear, but the depth remains undisturbed. Living by reason transforms character. Impulsivity is replaced by discipline. Reactivity is replaced by deliberate choice. Chaos is replaced by stability. In the Stoic view, reason is the anchor that keeps the mind steady in the storms of life. Marcus Aurelius believed that those who live guided by reason experience true freedom. Their peace is independent, unwavering, and self-sustained. By mastering this principle, you achieve the ultimate Stoic goal, enduring inner calm Calm is not something the world gives you. It is something you earn through discipline, awareness, and self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius never lived a quiet life. He faced war, betrayal, illness, and relentless responsibility. Yet he remained composed, not because life was gentle, but because his mind was trained. He understood that peace does not come from controlling events, people, or outcomes. It comes from controlling yourself. You will be tested. People will provoke you. Life will disappoint you. Difficulties will appear without warning. But when you practice reason over emotion, acceptance over resistance, and restraint over reaction, calm becomes your natural state. Remember this: you do not need to react to everything. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need approval to live with dignity. True strength is silent. True power is inner stability. And true calm belongs to those who govern their own minds. Carry these lessons into your daily life. Practice them when pressure is highest, because that is where Stoicism is forged. When you protect your inner world, no external chaos can disturb you. Live with reason, act with virtue, and above all, guard your peace.